Hello guys and welcome to my first ever poker vlog. My name is Simone, I'm a guy from Italy and I love to play poker. I watch a lot of poker vlogs on YouTube. I watch Brad Owen, I watch Rampage, I watch Mariano, and I've seen there are not too many Europeans poker vloggers, at least not that I know of. So I've decided to take you to have a look at what is like playing in Europe. I travel a lot for poker, at least I did before COVID hit the world, so I will start again to travel again right now. I will be spending the next month in the Czech Republic for WSOP Europe in Wrocław and then straight to Prague for the EPT. So those are two big events in Europe, and I will try to bring as many contents as I can. For now, for my first ever poker vlog, I decided to just take you to have a look at a home game that we held here in my hometown in Italy. It's a small cash game, it's a 1-3. I usually, during my poker career, I've played more tournaments than cash games, so I've just started with a live cash game. Don't expect to see too many high stakes games, at least for now. I will play mostly 1-3 or 2-5. Of course, in Wrocław and Prague will be only 2-5. I think there are also 1-3, 1-2 games, but the action will be so good that 2-5s will be mostly recommended. For this home game that I'm going to show you right now, it will be a 1-3 game. So, excuse my English. I think I can speak and understand English quite good, but I still have an accent, so I hope you don't mind. And I'm excited to bring you my first ever poker vlog. So I've tried to do the best that I can for now with the editing and the contents that you will see shortly in this video. There is a lot of room for improving, so write a comment down below to just give me some encouragement, and it will be highly appreciated. So let's see you after the video. Okay, I know it's a shame, but for the very first ever hand of my vlog, I don't have the hand on tape, because what happened was I had just arrived at the poker table. I didn't even sit down and the dealer already gave us the card. We are playing under the gun +1 and we look at two beautiful kings. So we take our jackets off, but we don't have the camera ready. We sit down and the blinds are 1-3, we raise it up to 15. We receive two calls from middle position and the button. Now the flop comes this one. 10, 7, 5 rainbow. And now I throw out a continuation bet of 30 euros, and the middle position player calls and the button folds. So we are going to see a turn. I think he has so many tens in his range, we are way ahead here. The turn is a 7 of diamonds, so I don't think it should change things too much. Of course, if he has like 8, 9 of diamonds, it gives him a ton of equity, but he shouldn't have too many 7s in his range, being the first one who called pre-flop, and that he called the flop as well with the button still behind him. So I don't think the 7 worries us too much. It doesn't change things at all. So we throw out a bet of 90, and for 90 he calls as well. Now I'm still more convinced that he's holding just a 10. He has about 300 behind in his stack, so when the river comes a total brick in the two of clubs, we decide to go for it all. The very first hand of the night, we are just gonna shove and hope to get a call from some kind of 10. He thinks about it for not too long, just 20 seconds or something like that. Then he finally makes the call. We know we are good. We show our kings and he shows us ace 10 for top pair, top kicker, but this time is not good at all. So we bought in for 500. Now we just made a double up. So what better way to start the night? For the second hand of the night, actually this one we finally have it on camera. We see a limp from under the gun, and with ace 10 offsuited we decide to go for a raise to 15 euros from the hijack. The button makes the call, and so does the under the gun limper. The flop comes the same as before, once again 10, 7, 5 rainbow, And after the under the gun checks, we see bet to 30 euros. The button now folds and under the gun makes the call. The turn comes the queen of diamonds, and he shouldn't have too many queens beside from queen 10, so after he checks we decide to bet again and go for 75 euros. For that amount he makes the fold, so he probably didn't have a 10 either. Here we have a really nice hand, we have a queen 10 of clubs, and we see a limp from under the gun and a raise to 18 from under the gun plus 1. He's a really fun player to have at the table, we know him pretty well, he's always laughing, always drinking, always messing around, but he's not a good player at all, so we want to play a larger pot against him, we like our cards, and we like to play in position against him, so we don't want any other opponent to come in the end. So I think a small raise should do the job here. We 3-bet really small to 50 euros, and we get what we wanted. Everybody folds, action falls to him, and he decides to make the call. The flop comes ace jack 6 with a gut shot to the nuts and a backdoor flush draw. We like our hand. So after he checks, I decide to continue telling the story I was trying to tell pre-flop and bet 60 euros. He snap folds and we take down another small but decent pot. This next hand we have two beautiful kings once again, but this time I can finally show them to you because this time the camera is actually on. And we are sitting in the big blind, so there is one limp from early position and the hijack raises it up to 23 and small blind makes the call. So small blind is the same player we were facing before with the queen 10 of clubs. We obviously here have to 3-bet, I don't think we are ever gonna do anything else but 3-betting, and we make it 110 euros. Everybody folds and also the original raiser folds, so now I think we have actually won the pot, but to our surprise small blind decides to make the call and he actually checks in the dark. So the flop comes ace 7-4 rainbow. I don't think he should have too many aces in his hand. I think he's more likely to have like a small to medium pair or some suited broadways. So of course 7s and 4s are in his range. And I actually decided to check back here to pot control. The turn makes everything actually easier for us. It comes the king of hearts, so now we have the nuts because I don't think he ever has aces here. He checks once again, and this time I down bet to 80 euros, targeting like all these queen 10, jack 10, which he could make the call to try and find a gut shot with. Unfortunately, he decides to fold and tells us he had precisely jack 10 of spades, but didn't feel like a queen was gonna come on the river, so I guess we'll never know if he made the right decision or not. I just know that I would have really liked to get more money with this hand, but maybe next time. The next hand we play, there is a straddle to 6 euros and the low jack decides to limp. We have ace queen of diamonds, beautiful, beautiful holding from the hijack, and we decide to raise it up to 35. Now we see the small blind reaching for his chips and he actually decides to 3-bet us to a quite large size of 150 euros. He leaves himself with just 230 behind, so we know he's not going anywhere if we ever decide to shove here. We like our cards, but we have a long history with this player. We know he sometimes is quite crazy and goes wild with like some weird holdings, but we talked to him a little bit and he seems to have it this time. I don't know, maybe it's an ET fold, probably. I don't know, what do you think, guys? What do you think it's the best play here? I didn't feel like we were ever ahead of his range, so we decide to fold, sadly, and we tell him it's the first time we are shooting the vlog, so maybe it will be nice for him to show us his cards, and he decides to be nice and show us ace king of clubs. So it's good to know we made the correct lay down at least this time, but I think we are being result oriented, so I don't actually know what will be the best play long term with these type of hands and these kind of stacks. So let me know what you think. Maybe you can write it down in the comments below and we can discuss about it. Now we have an interesting hand. There is a straddle once again to 6 euros and we look down to ace 10 offsuited from middle position. It's not a hand we love to play, but the table is quite passive, so I don't think it's wrong to raise it up here. We make it 15, and now the hijack asks the dealer how much the raise was, and it really looks like he wants to 3-bet. He reaches for chips, he looks at his cards, but he finally decides for just a call. So we kind of like it, but this helps everybody else to join the party, because now the button, the small blind, the big blind, and lastly the straddle also make the call. We are going to see a 6-way pot, and we really don't know with our pretty shitty hand what we want to hit, but let's see what the flop develops. So now the flop comes ace 10 7 with 2 diamonds. I think that is like the best flop we could have ever hoped for. So we are loving life, and after the action checks to us, we continuation bet quite big. We throw out a bet of 60 euros. Now the hijack thinks about it for a little bit, and he finally raises up to 210. He leaves himself with about 450 behind. So now the action falls to us, and we really hope we didn't run into like a huge cooler with him eating a set, but there's not really so many combos of those. We have ace 10, so yeah, he could have sevens, but whatever, you know. What else can we do here but shoving? So we do, and he doesn't look happy about it, and that makes us happy. We know we have the best hand. He looks at me and he says that he should have raised pre-flop. So now we think he has something like ace king, ace queen, and we really, really hope for a call. He thinks about it for a couple of seconds, and finally he decides to call and show us exactly ace king offsuited. We are sitting really comfortable here, having to avoid just 3 outs or some unlikely backdoor straights. So this is the same opponent that we stacked the very first hand of the night with kings, the one you didn't see. And when he asked to run it 3 times, I mean, we kindly agree to do so. I mean, this is a home game, so everybody knows each other quite well, and the table has always a friendly vibe to it, so why not? The first run out comes a 6 and a 4. The second one are 2 8s, an 8 on the turn and an 8 on the river. And the third one, a deuce and a jack. Nothing changed. We ship another nice pot our way, and now we are up a little bit over 1k for the night, which is not bad for a 1-3 game. Now we are off to play another hand. We have ace queen offsuited from the cutoff, and I jack limps, and we raise it to 15. He calls, and we go to a flop, heads up. The flop comes ace deuce 5 with 2 spades. He checks, and sometimes I would check back this flop if we were playing like a larger pot, but given the size I'm not really worried even if he was to go for a check raise. So this time I c-bet to 25, and for that price he calls. The turn now comes an action freezing 3. Since he could have like all the low sets and straights with a 4, we really hope he checks, and after he does that I'm really happy to check it back. The river is actually an interesting card. It's the 4 of spades. So now after he decides to check, we have like a straight on the board and the spades draw that got there on the river. I think about it for a little bit, but I don't see many reasons not to try to get him off a chop. I mean, the line we took is a reasonable one if we were on a spade draw, and that's why I decided to try and bet 75. He thinks about it for a little while, but finally decides to make the fold. The reason why I included this hand in the vlog, I mean, it was not such a large pot or whatever, but I see many times in these situations people just check it back and decide to just go for the chop and whatever. But when you play poker, you're playing to get all the chips possible your way. So these are like really easy spots to bet and avoid a chop and take all the money in the pot your way. So just go for it. And if you get check raised, whatever, you know, you tried. Of course, you have to select which player to do it against, because if you do it against a good player, he obviously could check raise you. Here he has way more sixes than you. He may have also some spades that plays this way. So you just have to select the right opponent to do it against, and hope for the best. The next hand is an interesting one in which under the gun raises to 11 and we see 4 calls before us. We have Queen Jack offsuited from the big blind, and for just 6 euros more we go to see a flop of 66. The flop comes a tricky one, showing Queen, Jack, 10, rainbow. We are sitting here with top 2, but there is literally any kind of possible straight out there. So after the small blind checks, we check as well and see what develops. The original raiser also decides to go for a check, and now the first flutter throws out a bet of 65 euros, so a pot size bet. He leaves himself with about 400 behind, and we start to think what will be the best move if the action folded to us, but we don't even have the time to make up our mind that the button thinks 65 is not enough, and he raises to 210. He has well over 1000 in behind in his stack, so we look at our card once again before sending them into the muck when the action falls to us. Top 2 is not easy to make, but we could easily be up against an already made hand, like a straight, and we probably would have some of our outs to hit a boat dead from the other opponent, so we fold quite quickly. Now the player who bet 65 decides to play for it all, and the button makes the call relatively quickly. The first player shows our exact same hand, holding top 2 as well, while the button flopped straight with 8-9 suited, and the runout doesn't change things at all, so we are happy to have saved some money. For the final hand of the night, we look down at 2 beautiful ladies. We are sitting in middle position, and after under the gun and under the gun +1 limp into the pot, we decide to raise it to 20 euros. The action falls to under the gun +1, and he does something we do not expect from a player like him. I mean, he's one of the best player at the table, but now he 3-bets us to 110, playing for 700 total. We call this move in Italy la mossa del nonno, which translates to the grandpa move, like check raising, limp raising, I mean, strong holdings. So now we find ourselves in a weird spot, where I think there's not so many hands he plays this way, actually only queens plus and maybe some combos of ace-king. With us having 2 queens, of course, there's only 1 combo of them left, being more likely for him to have us crushed. Guys, I don't really know what to do here, really, I'm lost. I don't think folding is ever an option, but shoving or 3-betting looks quite bad as well, because I don't really know what we are expecting to find, if he ever jams or if he calls our jam. So I finally decide to just make the call in position, play the hand in set mining, like if we were holding deuces, and we are in position. We can see how he reacts if a baby flop comes. Maybe he has ace-king and he will check and we can see a turn. I don't know. Indeed, the flop comes 7-5-3 with 2 diamonds, and now he c-bets to 175. I don't think he will c-bet this size with just ace-king, except maybe ace-king of diamonds. So as time goes by, I convince myself more and more that he's holding just kings or aces. I try to talk with him a little bit, trying to see if he gives away any tells. I ask him the old question, will you show if I muck my hand? But he doesn't reply to any of my questions. So I finally declare that I fold, and now he turns over a king. Just 1. So I don't want to go to sleep thinking that he may have had ace-king and we got outplayed. So I ask him to turn over the other card as well, and he says that he will do that for 5 euros. And I'm more than happy to pay to be able to go to sleep without having dreams about this hand. So he turns over the other card, and it's a king as well. So we saved a chunk of money in this hand. I'm glad he didn't just raise pre-flop and then 4-bet my 3-bet, because I think things would have gone a lot different. And I don't know what the turn and the river would have been, but we really needed some help there. This was it for the night. We made a profit of about 830, and it's not bad for 1-3, but during the night we were up over 1.2k, and it will have been a way better result. We didn't have too many difficult spots unless for the queens, the last one you saw. Queen Jack, I think it was not difficult at all when we hit top 2, so I don't count it. I don't consider it a difficult spot, so let's not include that in it. I think Queens was the only one, and maybe Ace Queen of Diamonds, if you recall, when the opponent showed us Ace King of Clubs. And those are the two spots that I'm not sure I played well, so if you have some recommendations, just let me know. Of course, poker is all about confrontation with other players, so there's always something to learn if you are willing to give some advices. They are highly appreciated. This is it for now. I hope I'll see you soon. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I've just started, so you can be my first subscriber maybe. See you soon. Take care. Ciao.